Welcome to the United States of Formula One. Nikki?
I'm Boogie, filling in for Cookie, because where is he?
He went to Boston because he is going to the final game, USA versus Canada, for the Four Nations. That lucky son of a gun.
Wow, congratulations, Cookie.
He's there, so he said he's going to keep me updated on everything. I'll be watching and looking for him on TV, and you should too. But let's get into some Formula One.
Ooh, Formula One news. Nice, season's almost started.
Rumors, possibly, news. Just announced today. This man right here.
Oh, Logie Bear.
Logie Bear, Logan Sargent. Now, we thought he was going to be racing LMP2.
Yeah.
And we thought he was going to be racing IndyCar. We actually announced it all.
Yeah. IndyCar ended up in LMP2. We're excited because he was going to...
Just race? Yeah, no, he's retiring.
He's retiring?
I guess. That's what I expect.
We're going to miss you, Logie Bear.
I guess he just doesn't want to be a racer. It is what it is. But I was pulling for him.
Not the only F1 driver who doesn't want to be an F1 anymore. Lance Stroll looking at you, buddy.
Other news. Contract for Jack Doohan.
Yeah.
Alpine. Now, supposedly, this contract is for... Now, it's undisclosed. I hear rumors, possibly 3 races, possibly 5.
Okay. Why is that, though? Because... he did good. I mean, he had a race. What, he raced the last race?
He last the race. Yeah, that was it.
He didn't wreck.
No, he didn't.
You know, he didn't blow the doors off, but he did good, for a rookie.
Well, he better do great because I think by race 5, Franco Colapinto takes that seat. And I think everybody thinks this as well.
So do you think that's because Franco did such an amazing job last year?
Yes.
And they were already in talks with Doohan, and
you don't pull him in as your reserve driver for nothing. Yeah. No, he's going to be there unless Jack Doohan. I mean, I'm pulling for him at the same time. Hopefully, it blows everybody away and does amazing. And at that point, you have to keep him, right?
Well, you have to, but you don't want to lose Franco.
Yeah.
Because Franco did a really good job last year, and I was shocked that he didn't have a seat this year. This was the one driver that we thought was going to end up with a seat that didn't end up with a seat. And no disrespect to Jack, but kind of didn't see that coming.
No.
I figured that Franco was going to get a seat over top of him this year, and then when Alpine announced that they were going with Jack, everybody, I think, was a little bit surprised.
I was absolutely surprised. Now, let me ask you this. Jack Doohan, let's just say it's 5 races. He gets points in 2 out of the 5. Does he still go?
Well, I think it depends on where they are in the constructors race.
In 5 races, though? I mean,
you get in 5 races, if you've scored 1, 2 points, then that's promising. If they score 0 points in 5 races, then I think they're going to do something, because Alpine cannot finish towards the bottom this year. They got to be a middle team car.
And they will. Pierre Gasly has been absolutely killing it.
Well, he was the only one who was killing it last year.
Well, Ocon got those. They got those 2 and 3 in Sao Paulo.
Well, that was because of the rain.
Yeah.
That was because of the rain, and that helped them. But that's why they ended up finishing as high as they did in the Constructors' Cup, was because of one race. Yeah. You can't gamble all that money on hoping that you have one race that everybody crashes out and there's rain problems and you sneak up and you can end up in where they end up 6th, I think, last year.
Yes, they were ahead of Haas.
They were ahead of Haas.
Yeah.
So they need to. They're racing against Haas again this year. They need to beat them, and they need to beat them by continuously getting points. Now, they're not going to be getting podiums. I don't think they're going to be getting podiums, but they need to be finishing in the top 10. So I don't think if Jack's not finishing, 12th or better in his first 5 races, because Franco can do it.
Franco can get in the top 10.
Franco can get in the top 10.
He can get in the top 10, and he can wreck the crap out of that car at the same time. But I like Franco. I like Doohan. This is going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Now, rumor news, potentially. Now, you brought this to my attention.
Yes.
Now, I just want to say these 2 drivers have contracts through 26. So technically, Fernando Alonso is saying his farewell tour is next year.
Yes. So Fernando has earned the right to go out on his terms.
Yep.
And love Fernando.
Yes.
And
He
I
was
hope
over
that
40. He killed it.
he did an amazing job.
Yep.
He has helped move this program forward
Yes.
when they were in a slump.
Hall of Famer.
But now they have Newey, came in
from Red Bull.
Yep. And they really want to get this to be fighting for the Constructors' Championship because they started off so good and then they fell off of a cliff and they embarrassed themselves in the second half of the year. And his partner looks very disinterested. Lance does not look like he wants to race F1.
Mm-hmm. Now, rumor has it that he was racing or practice racing rally cars.
Yeah.
So is that a potential? Maybe but his dad, you got to remember his dad owns.
Yeah, so he's going from the pinnacle of motorsports racing where he is not going to get fired because his dad owns the team, which is why everybody doesn't like him because they think that he has, his job is safe when it shouldn't be safe. Mm-hmm. But you have Newey come in. Newey wants to run it like he ran Red Bull. He wants this team to be competitive. He didn't come over here to finish 4th or 5th in the Constructors. He wants to challenge Red Bull. He wants to challenge Ferrari. He wants to challenge those top dog teams. And if you have a driver who's disinterested, just ask Red Bull what it's like to have one really good driver and one not as good driver, how hard it is to win the Constructors' Cup.
Yeah, well, we know that from last year.
So, I mean, I could see in 26 where you have a completely different lineup, and I wouldn't be surprised if.
So you saying 26
Lance,
or 27?
I'm sorry, through their contracts.
Okay.
Obviously, Fernando's going to be done.
Yes. So it's farewell tour and the brand new car, which will be next year. Okay.
My prediction is Fernando lasts longer than Lance. So there is a cutoff date for when Fernando's leaving. He's already announced it. I don't think Lance lasts that long.
Oh. So, rumor has it that they are trying to get Max Verstappen?
Well, yeah. Why wouldn't you want to get the best driver?
I just want to say that rumors, he is saying that this is a rumor and it's not true, but we all know that they're going to
they always say, okay, I'm not going anywhere. I love my time at Red Bull up until the time they sign the contract and they announce that he's with,
Well, I know Red Bull has kind of sucked this year and he took a bad car and still won the driver's championship. Yeah. Would you move from Red Bull to Aston Martin, who technically this year they're going to do terrible? I don't know.
Well, this year they're going to be bad.
They're going to be horrible.
Well, you have Newey in there, and by the time
so they're building for 26.
Well, 26 it's a full reset for everybody because it's a new car.
Yeah.
So obviously Max isn't going to go anywhere this year. No. And Max has a very good chance at winning another driver's championship, because that car is still very dominant. Mm-hmm. He gets a teammate in there who can finish in the top 10. That increases their possibility of going for a constructor's championship. But in 26, it's all wiped clean because all the cars are starting over fresh.
Oh, yeah.
So why would you not go back to Newey? Because
Newey, who was your guy, who was going to build your car to possibly win.
1 year that you're racing with Fernando, and you don't have to deal with Lance.
So you think potentially next season, Fernando and Max Verstappen on the same?
I think if Lance retires, because I don't think Lawrence is going to fire his son.
Okay.
But I think
so. He has to step down.
I think he's going to, because he just doesn't look like he wants to be there. He doesn't need the money. He doesn't need to be there. He has proven that he is a Formula One driver. He's not a great Formula One driver, but he's not the worst Formula One driver that we've seen in the last couple of years.
He does like the Beach's car.
Well, he does like the Beach's car. We make fun of him, but we've definitely seen worse drivers in Formula One than Lance Stroll. I think that if his heart's not in it, you can't go out there and not be 100%.
No.
When you're going those speeds in these cars. If you're disinterested, it's going to show, and I think it showed the second half of last year. I think there's a high probability that Lance retires and does something that he's more interested in, and that opens the door to bring Max in. You have Max and Fernando working on the new car for 1 year. I think that would be Lawrence's dream right there if he gets Lance and Fernando in the 26.
It would be great. I don't know. I don't see it. Well, I don't want to say I don't see it happening. I think we'll know more by the middle of even this year on how if Red Bull can take a step forward or if they're going to take another step back from next year. So
I don't think Red Bull took a step back though.
I
think
did.
their driver. They had a driver who took a step back. They didn't really take a step back.
Their car wasn't as good as McLaren. Their car wasn't as good as Ferrari, and it was barely better than Mercedes.
Well,
so I mean,
you
just had a good driver and a bad car.
It's hard to beat a car that has pseudo wing, opening. So they're basically
that's a myth. Well, I want to get into something that I hope happens.
Okay.
Netflix.
What about Netflix? Is this Drive to Survive?
This is not Drive to Survive.
Not Drive to Survive.
ESPN officially will not be getting the rights to F1 after this season. ESPN still has it. So they said they don't want to get into a bidding war with Netflix. So was it NBC who was possibly...
I think it's NBC or CBS. I can't remember what. I think it's NBC if I remember correctly.
They don't need it. They don't want it. This brings if Netflix gets F1, this brings the market to the United States to just that next level. Because
here's my thoughts on this.
Yes.
Okay, because F1 is growing in the United States. It's getting bigger. It's only going to get bigger. I think that this, in the next 5 years, is going to overtake NASCAR in its popularity in America, because we've seen what NASCAR's problems are. I don't think it's getting better. They're trending the wrong way. Netflix came out and earned a whole bunch of new viewers with their Drive to Survive. So I think if it goes to I think if it goes to Netflix, that's going to be great. And the other reason that I know that F1 is growing and is going to be huge in America is because ESPN dropped them. And anytime ESPN does something, it usually turns out to be the opposite, because ESPN not known for their intelligence.
No, and granted they've done a great job, but
they've just replayed.
Well, Netflix is going to be fantastic because the first race is on where we live at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll have to go on my ESPN app and watch it on Sunday in the morning. It's not that big of a deal, but I have the ESPN app. A lot of people don't have it now. Everyone, 9 out of 10 people have Netflix. It's just going to be that much easier to wake up in the morning and just press play to restart that race. Now, to have practices, qualifying, and the race, I think it's just huge for F1, and I think it brings USA way up in the market.
I think it will make it more convenient for the U.S. market to watch if they're watching on Netflix.
Yeah.
But the one thing I would say is, because we watched football this year, American football, the NFL, and Netflix did a couple of those games.
Yes.
And they also did the big fight with Jake Paul.
Yes.
And
they nailed the football. They didn't really. They did not nail the fight.
They did okay in football. They didn't nail it. I think they did a decent job, but they fumbled the fight.
Yes.
The fight was a disaster.
Yeah.
So as long as they're taking Sky Sports feed of F1, I don't think Netflix is going to step in and start doing their own broadcast of the race.
They'll
I think
do
as long as they
right.
do that, I think it'll be fine. But I would not want to see Netflix take over the broadcast of the actual race. I think Sky Sports is doing a phenomenal job, and they should keep doing it. They just recast what you're getting from Sky Sports.
And that's what they do with the NFL. So they didn't have Netflix people. They just had the Netflix basically logo on there. That's all they need. And that's what they want. So this is what I'm hoping for.
Their bandwidth is the problem. That was the problem with the fight.
But 300 million people aren't going to watch F1 like they did the fight. So at the same time.
Well, at the same
was
time,
the problem.
yeah, because I don't think you're going to have live. So I think that solves a lot of problem. But you do have hundreds of millions of people who watch F1.
Yeah.
And it's only growing, and I think it's going to get better in the United States. All that being said,
Netflix
I'm excited
has enough
about
money.
This.
They'll fix their problem. I'm excited.
I'm excited about
We
this.
don't know that this is going to happen either, so I'm just hoping.
Well, we know it's going somewhere. We know it's not going to be on ESPN after this year. So it's either going to be NBC or it's going to be Netflix, or if somebody else comes in and does it. But it'll be.
And you can always get F1 Live on the F1 app, but I would rather have it on Netflix. Yes. So that's it for us.
That's it for the news.
Join us next week when we break down where we think the drivers are going to end up, where we think the teams are going to end up. We'll see you next week.
Cookie loves you.
Follow us on YouTube at the United States of F1, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at United States F1. Copyright Brugman Media Limited 2025.